Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Impiger Technologies presents Chennai Open Golf Championship powered by Fruitnik Electro Plus. I am your host Shaurya Singh, joined by my co-host Rahul Bajaj, and we bring to you the final day's action here in Chennai on ABP Live. On our screens right now is the group of Ranjit Singh, Karan Tonk, and Karthik Sharma.
Morning, everyone. I have an interesting day coming up. Got the leader N. Tangaraja at 16 under par, followed closely by Manu Gandas at 15 under, Abhijit Singh Chadda at 14 under, Karandeep Kochar at 12 under, and Khalin Joshi at 11 under par. This is going to be an extremely interesting round. We're going to have a lot of birdies out there, a lot of drama going along on the golf course over the next 4.5 hours.
Yes, quite the interesting leaderboard packed, and I think this is one of the first times I'm seeing that the top five positions are separated by a single shot. A lot of symmetry on that leaderboard, and a lot of symmetry in Karthik Sharma's game as you saw him gesticulating with his left hand. Let's see if that pre-shot routine bears fruit right now. Karthik currently at 7 under par, so he'd be hoping for a big day today.
The first hole at the TNGF Cosmo is 180-yard par 3 to begin the round with. The green is a narrow one, a lengthy one at that. So the players have to have an extremely accurate shot to get up onto that green. Players would usually be using a 7 or a 6 iron to get up onto this green.
Yes, an interesting first hole as we saw quite a few errors as well on this hole. A few rewards, a couple of birdies, but all in all, the players would be more than happy to make a par and move on. As we have a look at the highlights from yesterday. Look at Karandeep Koche.
This is the putt that got Karandeep up close enough to N. Tangaraja.
Shot 4 under par yesterday.
Like all the hard work he's been putting into his game over the off-season seems to be paying off. Abhijit Singh Chadda also, a man who's been happy with the flat stick, is at 14 under par, just 2 shots off the pace.
That's on your screens.
Gandas, after a little bit of a hiccupy start yesterday, showed us how it's done, how a comeback is really made.
Putter was working really well for Manu, able to capitalize on that. Look at the leader Thangaraja, who had a brilliant 5 under par yesterday. Really firing on all cylinders. On a short and tricky third hole, the par 4. On the 18th. Now they're sitting at 16 under par after 3 rounds, leading the tournament by 1 shot over young gun Manu Gandas.
We have Ranjit Singh, the group that we just saw teeing off. Ranjit Singh is playing alongside Karan Tonk and Karthik Sharma, leaving himself just short of the green. This is what we call short siding to the green, and there we have Ranjit, who will have a little bit of an uphill task, literally speaking.
Couldn't have said it better myself, but not as difficult as the flag on the left-hand side. Short siding on this side is still manageable. I see
We'll
this up and down one that is possible for the players to make.
Well, I think that he will still have to fan open that face a little bit to give it a little bit of a soft landing. Karan Tonk tried to make the most of that soft landing, but coming off the rough, that's probably the best possible from that area. A pretty good shot at that.
Karan Tonk seems to have gotten the shorter end of the stick, missing it on the difficult side. Will have 15 or so feet for his par.
Absolutely. Sometimes on par threes, man just has to take his medicine, and no matter how attractive the flag location is, you just have to make sure you give yourself a putt.
Oh, look at Ranjit. He's out with a putter. Interesting choice on that steep embankment. I think the grass would have been closely mown over there.
Well, I guess he's figured that this would get him better control over probably using a wedge from down there. So clearly, as I was thinking, he might have to fan open a wedge. He ain't going to fan open that putter for sure.
Bobbles up a little and right in the hole.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
he definitely made the right choice. And that coming back to my point, maybe if the flag was not there, that might have been in the hole.
Absolutely. It actually would have been because that putt wasn't too far. It would probably hit the back edge and just popped
But
up and
that
gone
came
down.
out very firm. It was also a stroke of fortune that it hit the flag. It could have gone by 4 or 5 feet. It looked like it came out hot.
Well, Ranjit's been putting pretty well, so I don't think 4 or 5 feet would have, you done any problems to him. But nonetheless, I feel like coming from that kind of an area, if you can be a little more aggressive with that stroke, is probably better off anyhow, right? Because you could tend to sort of baby it a little bit. So coming off a little aggressive, probably a good idea. 4 5 feet maybe probably is a good place from that location.
Karthik here. It's probably prime position, about 25 feet. Wouldn't be breaking too much. This is a realistic putt for birdie, I feel.
The last time I heard you giving a line, that was a pretty poor one. So
Maybe I'll have better luck today.
not much of a break, you say.
It
Let's
was
say
it
what
was
it's
the
going to be
moving
like.
it was the moving day blues.
I think we're still in moving day. I think it's going to be an extremely interesting piece of action today with all of these players bunched up together. And none of them, by the way, are easy players. So they're all going to be out there gunning for that victory.
Very good camera work here, giving up an up close and personal view of that golf ball and how it takes off after hitting the putter head. Getting back to the action.
Karan Tonka here on the green now has got that putt for par. He is starting his final round campaign at a total score of 7 under par with scores of 69, 68 and 72 in the third round. The total of 7 under par, Karan Tonka for par from about 12 feet away.
I think we can also talk to our viewers and elucidate the story that the discussion that you had with Ranjit today.
It's a bit of a hit and miss for Karan Tong, probably just a bit of a wrong read there. Well,
Can elaborate the phone call. I don't know. Was it a happy one?
absolutely, Ranjit is a seasoned campaigner, and just before going out, we had a bit of a chat, rumble about his age and what his future plans alongside the game of golf are. And it amazes me because Ranjit is of course, a seasoned campaigner. We've known him for years, and he's a 47-year-old professional golfer. You really can't tell by the way he keeps
That's
fit.
that's what he told you on the call. That please mind it, I'm not 42 or 43. I'm 47. So, Ranjit, our apologies, but also that you were able to impress the point upon us. I think his proclivity for hard work is something which has kept him in such brilliant shape. I think you just cannot look at him and say that he's in his 40s, let alone 47. So, more power to him. And
A friendly Manta, he says that he's gearing up and keeping fit so he can go out onto the seniors tour
I think
and then create damage.
he's there's no hurry for that at this point in time. He's very competitive on the main tour itself.
Absolutely. In fact, I do think that he's kept himself not only in good shape physically, but also in terms of the game. In fact, he has been aging like fine wine. And we've seen him coming up with some really good finishes of late. Has been competitive through and through this year. As we see that group walking off that first green, things haven't changed much onto that leaderboard except that Karan Tonk has lost a shot on the first.
Early days here still. Now the first few groups teeing off.
As we move on, we've got our 9 o'clock tea time on the first tee. Sandeep Singh, Akshay Sharma, and Marimuthu are from Bangalore. Three players ready to take on the course by a storm.
This flag pin position ideal for the first day. It's a little bit of a hit and miss for a lot of the players. If you go for it, there's a chance for dropping a shot.
Too much of a short alley to pitch and stop the ball there. If you go in the line of the flag, Akshay Sharma, former winner on the tour.
Might favor Akshay. He really likes to hit a high fade. So if anyone can attack this flag, it should be him.
All three players starting today at 7 under par for the first 3 days, looking to make some damage on that leaderboard. I think deep scores is the only thing that's going to do it. You've got a bunch of ties at that score point.
What we saw there was him switching his club at the last moment. So maybe that's a thought about changing the kind of shot he wants to hit, going with a shorter club or maybe a longer one and trying to hold off his shot. So those are the kind of changes that can happen at the last moment.
Really keeps that face open and then gets through the ball. Every player has sort of their own preference. In fact, yesterday I saw that there was a top player on the Conferry tour that actually kept the stance shut, which is something that we hardly ever see. Mari Muthuar, he's another player who could go for this flag, and he probably is, considering how aggressive he is with his game.
I think it's pretty certain that he is going for the flag. He doesn't quite see anything else but the flag. And with his kind of talent and prodigious ball striking, why won't you?
I think Marimuthu, if he just sort of, got a little bit of passiveness into that aggression, he would be winning so many golf tournaments because that ability that he has to make n number of birdies is quite amazing.
Seems to be quite the miscue there. Not getting off to the ideal start seems to have hit a little behind the ball. That can happen. That's why we say the first hole being a par three is pretty demanding on the players.
I think that ball's finished right off the green, as we can tell from this camera angle. Green actually is on the slight left of that fairway line. So the probably not really miscued in terms of contact, but miscued in terms of direction there.
Yeah, seems to be a million miles in the wrong direction.
Well, let's see what he has from there. Probably be flopping that one up. I doubt he's going to be using a putter like Ranjit.
That's going to be a very difficult shot indeed. I think anything within 15 feet from there
Unless
is
it's
a brilliant.
experience that teaches you that.
Well, there's only so much you can bank upon in terms of experience. You still have to pull that shot off. I feel that's one of the most difficult shots that you can face on this flag coming.
Do you just intend a pun there because there's a bank at the front of the green too?
I didn't realize. Maybe I did.
You do a lot of things which you don't realize.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. That's us here early in the morning, bringing you some golf.
Live
How do you
into your
feel,
homes.
How do you feel about landing up early in the morning at our studios and covering this fantastic tournament?
Well, the last time I did that was when I was playing golf, so I've forgotten
seems-
how that feels. So
It seems a lot like our golfing days. The only difference, you're still waking up early. You're sort of doing a pre-shot routine.
I am doing my pre-shot
I
routine.
see you with a lot of preparation with the notebook here and writing
I'm
things down.
stretching and all whatnot in the morning,
Your
making
notebooks
sure
make-
I'm warmed up.
Your notebook
for
makes
this
me very
thing.
nervous. I go back home thinking, "Where's my notebook?" And I just use the laptop. So I
You
think,
usually have one, right? Where did it go?
I thought I'll just try and
You're a bit
use
of
the
a
laptop.
literate too, right? So for me, it's just the pen and paper, but for you, it's the laptop and the typing.
As the
and, it's
humility
so
of
fast.
this
You know,
great
I didn't go to
conversation.
ISB, you realize that? I hardly
Well,
got
that's,
any education, for God's sake.
None of our skills are going to help us shoot the kind of scores that the players do need to shoot on this final day. And just to tell you a little bit about the scores, Thanga Raja leading the tournament at 16 under par, followed by Manu Gandas, Abhijit Singh Chadda, Karandeep Kochar, Khalin Joshi. There's just a lot of talent on this leaderboard. I don't know where to start. Who's your favorite now?
Well, I really don't have any favorite in here, but I would surely be rooting for Abhijit Chadha because he's been knocking. And of course, Karandeep Kochar as well, because Karandeep has been trying to work really hard in his game, and every player deserves a bit of a breather, and I think that's what these players need. Khalin Joshi, of course, is riding on some good form coming in from last week. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's interesting bunch of people. N. Thangaraja is is a strong player. He knows what he's doing. He's a seasoned campaigner. He knows what he's doing with his irons and his wedge play.
Now, this shot is indeed going to be interesting. The players are allowed the privilege of, rather, the luxury of a preferred lie. That is going to make a lot of difference. So you can place your ball on the kind of lie depending on the shot that you wish to execute. So he's definitely going with the aggressive approach. You were right there. There's no holding back when it comes to Mari Muthuar, but
In
he
fact,
really has his work cut out here. Let's see. Let's see how close he can get it. My bet is anything within 20 feet is going to be fantastic. He's done really well from there.
that's a pretty
What?
good
How would you
shot.
rate that shot?
I think that's a pretty good shot.
Rate it out of 10.
Give it a 7.
As I think you're not being generous enough for the quality of shot that he just executed. I would
I
give
mean,
that
I
at
think
least.
it's a good shot, but I also think that Marimuthu is can actually do that far superior.
He pitched it right on the green, and if you look at it, I feel it's a 9 on 10 from there with that steep embankment, being able to hit that kind of a flop shot.
Absolutely, there is no doubt that that's a good shot, but I think it can be a lot closer, especially the quality of shot that he hit. So he did impart a lot of spin on that shot. We
Let's-
have Akshay Sharma now coming in from the bunker, giving it a little bit too much of a release.
So you see how important it is to hit this green. I think players should not really. I'm sure they aren't really going for the flag. This is a narrow green. Uh, it's sorry. It's a wide green, but the depth is not that much. So it's a small target.
Sandeep Singh with another interesting shot coming up.
The easiest of the lot.
Brilliantly done by
Doing really
Sandeep.
well. So important to miss it in the right place. Otherwise, you can make a bogey in the blink of an eye.
It's also something interesting to take a look at that, there would be some players from a similar location who would probably fan open that face and, let that ball drop soft. Sandeep chose the way of, just bumping it into that fringe and then let it release up. So, each of them is the good way to play it, but player to player, it just changes depending on how you feel and what kind of a shot makes you more comfortable. Marimuthu, of course, is an aggressive player. And coming from, like, let's say about 25 yards away where he was, you can impart a lot more spin on the ball than
Would you
probably
have
from a situation like
would you have
Sandeep's.
had the confidence to take that shot on? I'm being
Well,
very frank here.
after 4 years of not playing, not really, but otherwise, yes, I would.
You would not have maybe tried a sandwich bump and run there. It seems like a more percentage.
I think it would depend completely on the depth of that bank.
It seems like a steep.
Seems like a steep one, then I would definitely do what Marimuthu did. Nothing else.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why he's a champion, taking on the difficult shots. I would have definitely taken the easier route, bump it there, a couple of bounces, and maybe get it within 10 feet and rely on the putter.
You're
It's
a very
risk.
kind man, sir.
It's a risky shot, but as they say, if you don't get the ticket, you don't win the raffle. So you got to get in the game if you want to win it. So aggression is the way these days with the quality of the field. You have to take on every shot.
has to
There's no
be.
hiding space.
Has to be. It's almost like
As
pars
so
need to be given.
unfortunate, he left it in the jaws. What a brilliant putt that would have been had it gone in the hole.
Golf has come to a point where I think pars are something that you always have in your pocket, but you got to just keep making birdies and birdies out there just to keep going. Otherwise, I mean, it should be almost like a par should be almost like a given. That's the quality of golf that we see today, internationally as well as nationally.
You're right. Our players are taking a leaf out of everybody else. International players' book. They are really pushing themselves and the standard of golf. And I mean, sometimes you do make a few mistakes when you're really aggressive, but I think on the whole it pays off, and you can see it on the standard of scoring. Now Akshay here with his attempt for par, you would have gotten some kind of idea on the green after looking at Marimuthu's putt.
Absolutely. Akshay Sharma now putting for par from about 15 feet away.
Also, you want to tell us a little bit, starting off with a bogey never feels good.
Absolutely, but some players do end up feeding off it. But nonetheless, yes, of course, no one wants to start with a bogey. No one even wants to make a bogey for that reason.
But I think the start is so important because it sets the tone in a certain fashion. Although I know it's 18 holes and you treat each hole independently. If your bogey is one that was caused by an errant shot, then you still might accept it. So somebody like Mari Muthu would maybe not feel that bad because his tee shot was definitely not up to par. But self sort of errors are the ones that really irk players if they make a bogey on the first hole.
Right, I think Sandeep should pat himself on his back if he makes this putt and saves his par on the first.
And how do you feel? I know this is maybe
I feel
almost
great, thanks, Shaurya.
outside the realm of general questions, but if you're playing in a group and the other two players make a bogey, you make a par and move off, I know it makes a difference. You feel a little better about that par. Even though it's not direct competition, great par there, you do feel that you've dodged a bullet somewhat.
So absolutely, I think that is one of the things. But as you go along and you play enough of competitive golf, you realize that golf is an equalizer. So I might make a bogey on the first, and I might make a
Rahul,
birdie on the
please,
second.
please don't be so pragmatic. We are wanting the inside scoop.
Well, that's the inside scoop. So I mean, I think as you go along the way, you do realize these things, and you tend to not go so hard on yourself thereon. But of course, if you end up sort of snowballing that sort of an error, that's when the problems start to then it starts to sort of playing on you. We have Sunit Bishnoi, our next group on the tee, 9:10 tee time, playing alongside Aman Raj and Badal Hussain.
That's a very nice camera angle right there.
There is a camera also in this camera angle.
I didn't quite get that, but I let that pass. It's tough to always come up with golden nuggets over the duration of the entire
Oh,
round.
you'll
So,
see it now.
yes, I think it's right behind the player. Taking it up quite high and not taking a divot.
I think, probably around a center green, 20 feet left of the flag is the best approach. There we have a lot of players taking the bait.
Aman Raj on the tee.
The season campaigner, let's see.
He's got really good iron play, does Aman Raj, and I've seen he's a very smart, astute player.
Yes, he's a
So
very good
look,
ball striker, good with his short game as well.
and really manages his game very well. I'm certain that he'll try and fade it off the left hand side, maybe 20, 25 feet. Always looking distinct with that hat.
You can spot him from a mile away.
Aman Raj currently sitting at 7 under par.
Another good thing to note over here, Aman Raj has actually grown up at the Patna Golf Club, and the Patna Golf Club has got a lot of trees in the fairways, and especially right in front of the tee boxes. So Aman actually has a very high launch angle of the ball, be it with pretty much any club in his bag. And that again takes us back to the point of where you sort of hone your skills is what you sort of, that becomes like the baseline of your golf game.
Absolutely.
Badal Hussain from Bangladesh.
Very long, languid swing. Missing it. Difficult spot.
Badal Hussain landing up in the bunker along with his playing partner. Although this bunker will be a difficult spot as again there is no room for error over here. A high, floppy, soft landing golf ball is what is required. Most like you've got to get that club to slide under the golf ball and get enough spin on it. Literally no room for error. A little bit of downwind and slightly from the left to the right on this hole, as we can tell from the movement of the flag. There we have the group walking up. There we have Aman Raj, really looking like a gangster, leading the pack.
Yeah, definitely looks like a version of Al Capone striding down. A little bit of limbering up being done by the player there. I think the Coimbatore wind has finally caught up with Chennai. Seems like it's going to be a windy day here. That's probably the most difficult spot that you could have picked on the first hole to make par from. Waddle's going to have his work cut out.
Shivendra Singh Sisodia getting off to a hot start, making an eagle on the fourth and a birdie on the fifth hole to be at 3 under par for the day and 6 under par for the tournament. Another player who's got a lot of ability to make tons of birdies out there. In fact, come to think about it, I can draw a lot of similarities between Mari Muthu's and Shivendra Sisodia's game. We look at Aman Raj now coming up. I think that gust of downwind probably helped their golf balls get into that back bunker. It's going to be a bit of a work there for Aman Raj as well as Sunit Bishnoi. Aman Raj taking care of that beautifully. Amazing bunker shot there from him, using that bank to slow that ball down.
Really has that Swilkin touch around the greens.
Interestingly, he's got that ball a little bit at the back of his stance and letting it take that release from dropping it in the fringe. Badal Hussain now. Not wasting much of time. It's a softie there and runs that by about 6 feet away from the hole. All three players making their way into that back bunker. Good shots from these gentlemen. It's a lot of art that players need around the greens. It's a lot of brute strength when it comes to ball striking, but it's all about touch and feel and artistry when it comes around the greens.
That's why they say golf is the most complete game. It demands you to be really good on a lot of different facets. That's a decent effort there, but just catching the rough a little bit. I think he was planning to drop it maybe a couple of inches further.
Yep, he was just short of the bunker and probably tried to emulate a Sandeep Singh, but got left out there a little bit. I think probably a yard more of that drop would have been better. Probably just dropped it a tad bit short into that thick stuff.
It seems that a lot of players are missing this green. So the wind and the lie of the land is definitely making a difference. You see players are missing it to the right hand side. I would think more of them would favor the left hand side, try and hit a fade. But it's not proving that easy.
Well, I think
So
that
execution
wind from the left is probably also hurting, and maybe sometimes it happens that the players are unable to tell the wind very clearly from the tee box, especially if it's a guarded one, and it can be a bit of a surprise. So
Yes, I
we've
think
seen a
because
lot of
these
golf balls missing on that side so far.
So obviously that's you can't quite start it too far left because of the trees that are there. So it's forcing the players to maybe hit a draw against the wind. So that is adding to the degree of difficulty on this first also.
Well, after last week's windy conditions, I'm pretty sure that's not much of a problem for all of these players.
They would just want to make a par and get onto the next hole.
Well, there we
Sitting
have Badal
safely up.
Hussain easily making that sandy par.
He made that look pretty easy. Excellent short game skills there by
Yep,
Badal.
I think really showcasing that, not giving it too much thought and just going for it. Sunit Bishnoi putting for par on the first. Probably a bit of a misread there for Sunit Bishnoi. Sunit would drop a shot.
Very unfortunate. It seemed like he was in the best position to make par. So that's what the game of golf is about. It's not over till you put the ball in the hole. Proximity to the hole does help after a first shot, but I think eventually it requires some very nifty short game skills as well.
Absolutely. I think, short siding yourself on greens which are on the faster side is very difficult and hard to play. Those shots, I remember a couple of years back, one of the tournaments, the greens were really slick and very slopey. And I think I must have spent 2 to 3 hours in the practice round just, getting a shot into the bag so that in case I ended up short siding myself, I didn't have to drop a shot. We have the next group now on the tee box. We've got Ravi Kumar playing alongside Khalin Joshi and Karandeep Kochar.
Ravi Kumar displayed a lot of fireworks yesterday in his golf round, making a lot of birdies and shooting six under par. If he's able to repeat that kind of performance, who knows? He might just win this tournament. Brilliant day for him out on the golf course yesterday. Seems to be happy with that shot. Has picked up the tee. That is a telling sign.
Khalin Joshi, winner from last week. Starting the day at 11 under par. He knows he needs to start making some damage on that golf course early today.
Karan also works a lot on his fitness. I think that's almost a given now if you are to play any
Absolutely.
professional sport, especially a sport which entails so much travel and so many consecutive days of action. You have to be in fine fettle, otherwise you're going to be left behind.
I think the myth around the fact that, golf can be...
What a brilliant shot
what a
there!
golf shot by
Finally,
Khalin Joshi. Clearly
what would
fitness
you
and
rate that golf shot now?
definitely a 9 on 10.
Finally, very tough to get marks from this man, ladies and gentlemen. If he's calling it a 9, it's probably a 10 on 10. So brilliant shot there by Karan. Ball striking ability is
I
something.
think if someone finishes that golf ball 15 feet left of the hole, I'd give that a 10 on 10.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit like that 17th at TPC in a way because the green is kind of a similar way. The only difference is there's no water around.
ये DPC कहाँ है भाई साहब?
I mean, look at the shot, the way the shot shapes up. It's pretty similar in the way that it's tough to hit the green.
Kochar paying his respects before he starts his round. Nice little routine there.
Yeah, I also used to do that, but I think the golf course didn't quite consider me to be, respect worthy. So
Kochar starting at 12 under par. He
very
also
odd,
will be looking at making a bunch of birdies.
very unorthodox setup. Looks like he's almost leaning towards the right hand side.
Yeah.
The knee, the right knee. It's
He stacks up towards the right and then clears off
nothing
excessively.
orthodox about that swing, but everything orthodox about the
Wow,
result. Look at that.
there we have it. That's a 10 on 10, my friend.
That's what it's all about. Eventually, it's about what Sevi Ballesteros used to say that it doesn't matter how you look in the swing, only matters how you look at the time of impact. So he's definitely looking great there.
I think it's also good to see the kind of experience, how these two players have attacked that flag location. They know they need to get some firepower into their rounds early in the day and, making the right choice. And it's probably easier said than done, but players like these know that the importance of keeping that ball on the dance floor on a par three.
Baba, Baba,
कोरिया सिटी जानी ना
Korea City.
शहर अंग्रेजी लगे हैं वो बहुत दूर है दुनिया में नहीं कुछ लोग बड़े होते हैं
Korea City कहाँ है?
प्रोफेसर साहब को पता होगा।
ओ, ये छोटा वाला ग्लोब रखा है और पता नहीं मेरी बेटी से जाके मिल लो शायद उसे मालूम हो
हाय, बाबा ने भेजा है। कम हियर।
Korea City.
कोरिया सिटी नहीं, क्यूरियोसिटी।
वो क्या?
That's what brought you here? जो तुम्हें यहाँ तक ले आया।
Curiosity.
Back to the action on the golf course. Ravi Kumar short siding himself, very similar to Ranjit and Marimuthu. Ravi starting his 5 round campaign at a total score of 9 under par. Colin at 11 under par and Kocher at 12 under par.
I think this is a hole that definitely favors the good ball strikers because you need that compression, that spin rate if you are to pitch it and stop it.
I think you gotta have that Speedy Gonzalez with that club head going under the ball.
I think he need a little bit of speed here as well to stop the unfortunate. Now that's
Too much speed.
it's not what you'd expect. I think it's a very difficult shot. That's why
It
he's
absolutely
gone
is.
with the flop shot. You don't see anybody trying to go with the roll.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a difficult shot. There is no doubting that. Short siding yourself on faster greens, having way less amount of room to navigate with. What do you think about starting a tournament round from a par three?
I think it just definitely puts a little more pressure on the player to ensure that he's better warmed up because you have to straight off the bat just hit a perfect shot.
Right.
Maybe on a par four, you do have some wiggle room. You can go with a longer, shorter club, which you feel comfortable with, and ease into the round. So there's no easing into the round. It's just straight from 0 to 100 miles an hour. So and whatever you do, it's there's no place to hide. So I for one think that if you have a par three as a starting hole, you just have to take your warm up a lot more seriously.
I remember there was this one golf course that I played where the starting hole was a par three with a water hazard in front of the green. I swear that was definitely jittery.
Isn't that your home course? So
Well, yeah, that's the 10th on the home course where, in case you were teeing off that 10th hole, you would definitely try to take an extra club, especially on a cold winter morning.
I think that's the stuff of what nightmares are made of. If I remember getting an early morning tee off at Noida Golf Club on the back nine,
One of those
when
cold
it's
starts.
cold starts, and the flag is over the water. You take extra club and you end up going over the green. So either ways, it's not the easiest thing.
Yes.
And if you try to really play it to perfection, you might as well end up in the watery grave. So very difficult. And I find that especially in cold conditions, your fitness, the difference just accentuates between the fitter players and the ones who can't quite get that speed going until the sun comes out.
Absolutely. In fact, you look at the reason that fitness has become so important in golf is the understanding that the club needs to be swung quite fast. So players are gaining speed and staying fit for that purpose. And also on top of that, these players are going out and playing, multiple weeks in a row. They're sometimes going and playing 8 to 10 weeks of tournament golf, and staying in hotels, traveling around in flights, playing and practicing all day long, and all of that does take a toll on the body. And the only way that you can sort of reduce the ill effects of it is by being on top of your fitness. Colin Joshi making three on the first. He's not going to be happy about that.
That's all right. You take your power and live to fight another day. Just don't want to drop a shot here.
I'd say another hole. This is all the days that we have in this tournament.
Yes, I was being a little metaphoric there, but yes, you are absolutely right, my friend. Which way is this going to break?
I don't know which way this is going to break, but I think it's going to break into the hole.
Playing it safe there, trying to butter up the players after after we jinxed them all throughout the first 3 days. Let's see if this one goes in the hole. I think on the final day between these five players, it's going to boil down to who can putt better on these greens. Because all of them are good ball strikers. They'll have ample birdie opportunities. It's going to depend on who is able to make the putts and early on in the round. Because you can't quite catch up here because everybody has the easy holes. You don't expect too many players to falter on the back nine. Oh,
I don't think coach is going to really like it that I probably jinxed him there, but good effort nonetheless. Coach will stay at 12 under par.
I'll make sure to remind him after the round. I think you'll be getting a call from him as he got one from Ranjit Singh. Was Ranjit Singh miffed that the fact you didn't quite know his exact age and you thought he was younger, or
I told him he just looks younger. What can I do?
And what was he saying? That why are you calling me younger than
He
what
said,
I
buddy,
am?
I like to stay fit.
I think let's get some coaching from him. Maybe there are some miles left in that tank. Hey, Abhijit Singh Chadda, another great ball striker.
Chadda also has a good advantage on this golf course. Probably would be able to take one club shorter than most other players over here. Our leader group, ladies and gentlemen, now on the first tee box, teeing off, Abhijit Singh Chadda playing alongside Manu Gandas
That's some brilliant camera work.
and Thangaraja. That golf ball is going to be left and slightly short of the green, which is not the worst place to be.
Yes, given where the flag is, I think if you want to miss the green anywhere, that's the place to miss it. Manu Gandas using a very long tee for that iron shot. Seems to be one of those wooden driver tees. Manu Gandas sitting at 15 under par, trailing Thangaraja by just a single shot. Teeing it up in the center between both tee markers. And for those of our viewers who are just new to the game of golf, in tournament golf, you have to tee it up between the tee markers and no more than 2 club lengths behind that. So there is a certain zone where you are allowed to hit from. Just missing a little bit to the right. That right part of the green, just off the green, is going to see a lot of traffic today. A lot of players favoring that side, some are missing it on the right hand side.
Now leader Thangaraja at 16 under par after 3 rounds.
In colourful attire, Thangaraja.
Thanga's going to draw that ball and finish that left of the flag.
Very quick player. Sort of hit that shot before we could complete our sentence.
Absolutely.
I think he could have used a little more time because that's not the kind of shot you want to hit when you
Totally overcooked
are leading
that
the
one.
tournament by one shot.
Totally overcooked that
If
shot.
that's the ball there,
He got an overdraw on that.
he's making it interesting. Is that the nerves of the final round being the leader? That well could be.
Well, it's just that, golf tournaments are a lot like drama. When you go into the final round, there is you will see that there are players bunched up one shot shorter than one another. Even if you had someone who was trailing by about 4 shots, you would have seen that golf somehow just finds a way to create a very scintillating finish coming into the final round. And we've always seen that. And going into that back nine, you will see that even
Let's
more.
let's not make excuses for the player. Let's get down to it and tell me the truth. Is that nerves, that kind of a miss hit, 25 feet, almost 30 yards left, is just unlike Thanga Raja. That it can be a miscue, but the odds of it being a miscue on a 170, 180 yards hole of that far left is definitely a little bit of the nerves of leading the tournament. Everybody's a human being. I know he's got ice running through his veins and he's going to be tested today because there are going to be four players breathing down his neck like dragons.
Absolutely. And no player is, lesser than the other. So it is going to be an interesting day. And yes, nerves do play a part, but the
You know, I can.
drama in golf also plays a part. There is a reason
For-
why we are on live the YouTube and streaming for the people,
Yes,
because
it's not
things
going to
do
be.
get interesting
You,
around
you
here.
can't just show up and think that if you're leading a tournament, you'll win.
No, not at
It's
all.
very difficult.
Especially not when you've got Manu Gandas, Abhijit Singh Chadda, Karandeep Kochhar, Kalin Joshi all breathing
I'll
down your
tell you,
neck.
I mean, there is a lot of factors. We do say that it is an individual game, but when you're paired alongside players of pedigree and they are good ball strikers, and you know that they are going to shoot deep numbers, that puts a little bit of pressure on you. That yes, you really need to perform. It does, even though it's an individual game. At the end of the day, it is a score that you have to beat the opponent's score. So. There is a latent pressure in the air. You know there is some tension which is definitely there in the leader group.
Absolutely. In
Lucky for
fact,
Thanga, he hit that tree and came out
I,
in the bunker. So maybe the golfing
yes,
was
it's not
favoring him.
as bad as it seemed to be earlier on. And a quick mention to Harinder Gupta and M Dharma, who both made a triplet of birdies in 4, 5, and 6 to be at 3 under par for the day and 7 under par for the tournament to tie for 8th position alongside many other golfers.
It's safe to say that Thanga Raja got the kind of trunk call that he'd wanted early in the morning. There is definite pressure when you land up on the final day, and if you're not used to this kind of situation, although all these players are very accustomed to being in the leader group. I remember back in the day when we were younger golfers, if you even come closer to the leader, second or third leader group, you would feel the nerves. But the younger lot, now especially the newer breed of golfers, I think they're more accustomed to handling that pressure. They play a lot more golf and they sort of just hit it and then see what happens. They're not too bothered about pressure per se, but yes, you can't quite escape it. It's like the white elephant in the room. I think he's definitely feeling a lot of pressure. I mean, this is again sort of unmitigated disaster, if you may. The shot pulled and then a little bit of a duff on the bunker, so he might want to recollect himself.
Well, we will have to wait for the action to unfold as we move along the day. Be early to say.
That's where those breathing exercises and all those things come in play. I think all of us have done that throughout our career, sometime or the other, if things are not working out.
I've still been doing it, like when I even come for commentary.
I know you're feeling the heat, my
I,
friend.
I totally do. I totally do.
Yeah, but it's important because before you know it, it can really get away from you, the tournament. Great shot there by Abhijit. He's no stranger to pressure. He's played in the leader group so many times. Obviously, that does have an effect. They say experience is something that helps you, build up that confidence.
Good shot by Abhijit Singh Chadda, playing that to an easy release shot. That's the advantage with missing it on that side. You get to have a lot more room. You don't need to impart as much spin on the ball. Chadda tapping that one inconveniently, staying at 14 under par. Manu Gandas has a little bit of work there to be taken care of, but his zen-like ways should help him get through. He's not made it into the bunker, so he's going to be chopping some grass there, keeping the ball up and soft as it seems from the way he's using that club head. Manu Gandas there, going up to 16 under par on the first hole itself with that chip in from the side where we think that it'll be difficult to make an up and down. He's like, "Ah, there it goes up and there it goes down."
Exactly, not feeling the heat at all. In fact, putting the heat onto the leader, Thanga Raja. That's the way fortunes can change in the game of golf. Manu Gandas now is at 16 under par, and Thanga Raja would likely drop a shot, and so Manu Gandas would be the new leader, and that's how you
Well, let's find
stamp
out.
your authority on a tournament earlier on, signal your intent, throw down a marker.
Let's find out. Maybe Tangaraju just makes his putt and stays at a tie alongside Manu Gandas.
Thanga Raja would be feeling like he's running the gauntlet right now.
Tanga is a seasoned campaigner, though. He's won multiple tournaments on the PGTI, and he knows how this is done. So I'm pretty sure he's not really miffled by what has happened over the last two shots. I'm pretty sure he will calm down and get back into the game.
We definitely hope so. Manu is making the tournament interesting from the get-go, and that's what you want. You want some brilliant action, and that's what you get in droves on the PGTI here live at the Impiger Technologies presents Chennai Open Golf Championship 2022 presented by Fruitnik Electro Plus.
Tanga
Look at
Raja
that.
saving
Look at
par
that.
there on the first hole. Brilliantly done.
I think Thanga Raja has taken offense to me saying that he's feeling the heat. He's like, dear commentators, I don't feel no heat. Only made us turn a stuff here. Look at these players.
There we have it. Tanga Raja talking to his caddy there. He
So,
stuck
ladies
to the
and
line
gentlemen,
that he
you are in
chose.
for a heavyweight battle today in the yellow corner from Sri Lanka and Thanga Raja. Manu Gandas in the red corner and in the third like the fighting ring in UFC.
Absolutely.
What's
this
that
is gonna
called?
be-
What's that called? That cube? They call it the hexagon. Something. I think that's what they called.
I have no idea.
It definitely seems like that right now. Heavyweight championship. A little bit of Conor McGregor by
With how
by
close-minded
Thanga
I
Raja.
am, just thinking about golf, not thinking about any corners.
That's what you were always just very focused on a single aim. You were like,
Aim point.
exactly, it's my way or the highway. Thanga
Well-
Raja definitely showing the highway to the rest of them. He said, "Let me try and make it interesting.
As we
Hit
saw,
the tree,
it is going to
get
be
in
a
the
very
bunker.
interesting day.
Duff it from the bunker, but then show the real class right at the end." He's like, Manu
Absolutely.
Gandas, not so quick, buddy. But Manu Gandas has taken the honor, and that's another thing that is very important because he's able to change the dynamics of that group. Now he'll be teeing off first, so that does make a difference. And as we saw in Noida, so yeah, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. I would say get a bag of popcorn or your favorite snack, and do follow this final day's coverage.
We did see Manu Gandas even yesterday in the penultimate round coming up with a bunch of birdies and in fact an eagle to finish the day to be at 15 under par. So things are going to be very, very interesting today as Manu Gandas is taking that form from the penultimate day and moving into that final round, tying up alongside Enthanga Raja. We have the group of Karan Tonk and Ranjit Singh now coming in. Karan Tonk from Tatanagar, Jamshedpur. Very peculiar way of him addressing that golf ball. Quick roundup of what we are doing over here. We are watching the Impiger Technologies presents Chennai Open Golf Championship 2022. This is the 11th event of the 2022 Tata Steel PGTI season. PGTI is making its debut at the Tamil Nadu Golf Federation golf course with this event. Prize purse of 40 lakh rupees on offer. The par for the course is 72. The length of the course is 6,225, but don't take that lightly. The course is difficult, even though it is designed very traditionally. The tournament has a field of 126 players with 3 amateur golfers, and about 58 players made the cut after the first 2 days. What we are watching here is the 4th and the final round of the tournament with Enthanga Raja leading the way. at 16 under par, tied alongside Manu Gandas after that scintillating chip in on the first. Local challenger here is Sandeep Sehal. Previously, the Chennai Open was won in 2016 by Mukesh Kumar and 2018 was won by Sri Lankan Mithun Pereira. The golf course is situated in the heart of the city, spans over 90 acres of land, was inaugurated in 1938 but later redesigned by the golfing legend Peter Thompson. Quick thank you to our presenting partner, Impiger Technologies, powering partner, Amrutanjan, Fruitnik Electro Plus, co-partner, Gujarat Tourism, venue partner, TNGF Cosmo, and associate partners in Brigade Group, Crown Plaza Chennai, Audi Chennai, Absolute, and Ballantynes. It's been an interesting last 2 days that we've seen over here. Players are really going out to the golf course and making a ton of birdies, while we look at Karthik Sharma now coming up. Karthik Sharma had a score of 7 under par. Ranjit Singh, the seasoned campaigner on our screens, also starting his final round campaign at a total score of 6 under par. Karthik Sharma getting up pretty close to that flag location, just about 6 feet under. Seems like a bit of a misread for Ranjit there, but a good putt. Great speed control exhibited by not wasting too much of time and just tapping that one in. Another few good numbers coming up on the course. We have Divyanshu Bajaj, who is currently at 2 under par through the first 6 holes of the round. We also have Adil Bedi with a clean 2 under par so far through 6 holes. Tonk has decided to go with the wedge. Seems like that was a bit of a miscue. Karthik Sharma there has a good look at birdie from that distance. Very peculiar way of feeling his putts. Karthik Sharma, this putt to take him to 9 under par for the tournament. There we go. Karthik Sharma goes solo at 6th position at 9 under par now. Things seem to be moving pretty fast on this leaderboard, I see. Karan Tonk has a bit of work cut out there for himself.
Harinder Gupta M. Dharma also 3 under par for the day, so moving upwards. Expect this to be a riveting final day. As we have a look at Karan Tonk. Oh, it's a good putt there by Karan Tonk. So would make birdie on the par 5. The fourth hole is the par 5 that we're talking about, 481 yards. Again, a very short par 5. They're having a look at that hole. So very nice expansive fairway. Short inviting hole. So the players are looking to make birdie here. We've seen a couple of eagles as well. Par would almost feel like a drop shot here on this hole.
This is Tata Steel, and this is an idea. So what happens when you join them? Something remarkable, like the material of the future. Fiber reinforced polymers that goes beyond steel. That is high on strength and corrosion resistance and is cost effective. A material that will be used in foot overbridges, the insides of railway compartments and electric vehicles, as also in infrastructure for smart cities. Tomorrow is shaped by imagination and steel.
Tata Steel. We also make tomorrow.
Par on the first hole, and Manu Gandasi chipped in for the birdie. Following them is Abhijit Chadda, Karandeep Kochar, his mate from Chandigarh, Kalin Joshi, the winner from our previous week at 11 under par. And in sixth position, we have a quartet of players, Karthik, Sandeep, Badal and Ravi Kumar at 8 under par.
Badal Hussain from Bangladesh now. Badal coming up onto that third hole, short par 4. A lot of players laying up to get a full shot in. One of the reasons that players do that is to get a full shot so that they can create enough spin on the ball to attack flag locations. When you short side yourself too much, it gets a little difficult, just like we saw earlier on the first hole today.
Very accessible flag even today. I would have thought that might be more towards the left hand side where the ridge might come more into play. So I think all in all, this is another flag that the players can actually make a birdie on. This golf course is definitely a feast for good wedge players, even short hitters, because you really don't need power on any hole. Even the shortest of hitters will be able to reach the par 5s here. So it makes for some exciting viewing.
I think Thangaraja has also stamped his authority and said that I can hit 2 bad shots, but I will still make that big putt and save my pars. Just goes to show that we are going to be looking forward to an extremely exciting day today.
Absolutely. That's one of the beauties of a golf course like this. It makes it a level playing field, and that's what we want to see more of. We want to see all the players who are strong in different parts of the game to be able to have an opportunity to compete.
I think that's what I like about courses like these. They exhibit pressure in a very different manner to get up close and personal with the flag locations as we have there. Two of the players
Yeah,
walking up, and
very
that's why they lay up.
a very easy, accessible flag for the players. You can see that the fairways are nice, and you can generate a lot of spin.
Action on the golf course. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, watching the day 4 coverage of the Chennai Open 2022. Impiger Technologies is presenting this tournament, and this tournament is powered by Fruitnik Electro Plus. This is the Professional Golf Tour of India, the body which is responsible and to present professional golfers opportunities to play and compete in golf tournaments, and of course through this also providing the best professional golf on your screens as well as to various cities in the country. Players from across many countries come and play on this tour, collecting world golf ranking points as well and making their way to better opportunities up ahead. The tour is full and packed with tournaments going into all of the next few months: September, October, November, and December. All of them packed with a lot of action and a lot of prize money on offer. Badal Hussain,
Packing an early birdie.
that bogey on the second hole, that'll steady things up for Badal. We have Sunit Bishnoi now.
Having a birdie putt of his own. I think his putt is a little more difficult. Has a little bit of break from the left hand side as well.
Just wants to take Bishnoi back to even par after that bogey on the first. Harinder Gupta and
Not the
M.
easiest,
Dharma.
not the easiest of putts. He's seeing that he's paying a lot of attention to the line. Him and his caddy have had multiple discussions.
Well, players give themselves opportunities, and of course, they want to make the most of it, and that's exactly what Sunit Bishnoi is trying to do, just like everyone else out on the course today.
Yes,
Bishnoi rolls that one in
right
easily.
down the throat of the cup. Brilliant putt. There you see that fist bump with his caddy. It means a lot for these players. Everybody loves birdies. Each birdie is, and that's the difference in golf and other games. I always found that that's one of the things that kind of confused me a little bit about the game of golf. How do you really regulate your emotions? Let's say you play a game like cricket or football, where you really do celebrate your wins. A bowler getting a batsman bowled out. There's a lot of ecstatic energy. A cricketer hitting a six. But in golf, you make a birdie, it's more subdued as you move on to the next task. You don't. It's not really over till it's over. I think players really celebrate their great shots after a round is over. Otherwise, they kind of take a birdie, they sort of get a little happy about it and move on, but they're not ecstatic. That's the difference in golf. It's you really are out there for about 4.5, 5 hours, and there's so many things. And
I think one of the biggest jobs for a professional golfer is to be able to control his or her emotions through the round. Like you said, it's not over till it's over, and the players realize that. And I think that's the reason that they just have to contain themselves so that nothing affects their nerves or their muscles while they're trying to play and repeat good shots.
the thing is that in golf, when you're on the putting green, players who are able to regulate their breathing or maybe their heart rate are actually better off than players who get more animated or excited. It doesn't quite reward an inconsistent sort of breathing pattern, so as to speak.
Absolutely, you're actually spot on with that. But there are some anomalies as well. Like you've seen Tiger, he gets very emotional and does a lot of fist pumps on
Tiger
the
is not
golf
a
course.
anomaly. Tiger is the goat. So whatever he does is very different. But so you are what you're trying to do is get all the adrenaline flowing on a long shot, and then calm yourself as you're on the green. Because if you're twitching or not really thinking about the task, you'll miss the putt. So it's very difficult because you have to regulate your emotions, and also, as you see now, what Bryson DeChambeau was trying to do, that on the tee, swing it really hard so that he can get his muscles firing and hit it long. So there are many in one round. You have to have a different range of emotions. You can't quite be totally comatose and just sort of walk through the round. That doesn't work either. So
In
it's
fact,
a
I've
mix.
seen that even in India, we have Chikka. Chikka also wears his heart on his sleeve, and you can tell he's quite emotional on the golf course. You can tell when he's hit a good one. You can tell when he's hit a bad one, and that sort of works for him. But although we see only a small percentage of golfers that are able to switch on and switch off between these, excitement moments and then calming back down, most of the players I think would like to stay more benign and calm throughout the round.
But I think greatest players, if you have a look at history, are the ones who are able to regulate their own temperament. They can get ecstatic and then they can relax when they're on the green, and that's what separates them. If you look at players like, if you look at Tiger Woods, Justin Thomas,
Right, unlike
Rory.
Akshay Sharma.
If you look at Rory McIlroy, a lot of these players, they get amped up and then they're able to sort of reduce that level of excitement and then get to the task at hand, and that's
So a lot of the fitness activities that some of these players do is actually based around regulating breathing and kind of like a switch on and a switch off kind of
exactly.
a mode for their heart and their brains. And that is something that a lot of the fitness activities also teach them. So they are able to regulate it in that fashion. And of course, that is what will separate someone who will win a tournament from someone who is going to be, someone who's going to win a tournament and be able to hold their nerves while doing all of these ebbs and flows on the golf course. Aman Raj now.
I think even as fans who or viewers of a game, they want to see some emotion. I think golfers have often been.
It seems like
As
Aman Raj, did he go for the green over
it
here?
seems like that might be on the green in one. He has the accuracy with the driver, so I think he could well be on the green in one. So one of the things that golfers are often accused of is not showing enough emotion and being a replica of each other and just sort of going through the motions. So for viewers, they don't really know what's going on in the player's mind. But I think with the advent of more fitness, you're seeing players express themselves a lot more, and that's something that the viewers also like to see. Something like what Bryson has done to the game of golf. He's actually brought that stadium effect. Hitting those kind of drives. Maybe 10 years ago, you could never imagine something like that. But you also need to have the ability to clear that water at 370 yards. So it's a lot of those things now. As Aman Raj here trying to clean up for his birdie, it seems. Oh, unfortunate there.
That would hurt. No golfer likes to make three putts, be it a professional or not. Usually, you can relate this to an unforced error in another sport. Kalin Joshi electing to lay up while Ravi Kumar seems to have gone for the green on this one. Ravi Kumar will be pitching up to the green from a closer off distance than the other two players. Coach and Joshi.
Seems to be about 100 yards away. What do you reckon?
It's
Maybe a
like,
little more.
I think players would usually try to leave themselves into whatever their comfort yardages are, and usually players like to leave themselves around 100-yard mark to get a full wedge into the green. This gives them that leeway of making an aggressive swing. While we take a look at Pawan Kumar from Delhi.
First look at Pawan.
Pawan on the ninth hole, chipping that one up beautifully. Shivinder Singh Sisodia doesn't seem to be putting his foot off that pedal. He is now at 5 under par through the first 9 holes of the day. So good stuff happening out there on the golf course. Lots of birdies and already a lot of reds that we can see on the scoreboard. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow some of the live scoring, you can also get on to pgtofindia.com and find out more details about this tournament, the future tournaments on the PGTI. Also, a lot of information about the players. We have Varun Parekh from Ahmedabad. Oh, maybe that little drop on that downhill got that ball a little bit of a bounce. A pretty good effort there. Just maybe had to avoid that downhill drop a little bit. Would have been a lot closer. We look at Abhinav Lohan quickening up that process of tap-in. Playing what we call ready golf.
Something that I never quite understood.
Well, it just took you time to get ready. You still played ready golf.
By the time I was ready, everybody was already finished.
That's okay, Shaurya. Everyone has their own pace, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the turtle in the group. I was always trying to keep up. I remember it was such a difficult task. By the time I would
Don't worry, it was difficult for us also who were playing with you or in front of you or,
I often
or
know
behind
that
you.
I would see the groups behind breathing down my neck and my group having tee off. I was always scuttering between holes. It never felt like a peaceful experience.
Abhinav Lohan quickly cleaning that up on the ninth hole. Currently playing to 2 under par through the first 6 holes. We will apprise you of the current score of Mr. Lohan, currently tied for 18th position.
You're at hole number 3, measuring only 317 yards. A leader currently at 16 under par, Manu Gandas alongside N. Sangaraja. A mention of some of the other players out on the golf course. You have Om Prakash Chauhan, who's 1 under for the day, 5 over for the tournament. You have Arjun Sharma, who was the runner-up last week at 1 over for the day, 4 under for the tournament. So decent outing so far. Would be aiming to try and reach the top 15 or the top 10 position. Then we have Adil Bedi, the young phenom from Chandigarh at 2 under par for the day, 6 under for the tournament. Divyansh Bajaj from Kolkata, 2 under for the day, 6 under for the tournament. And you also have Shivinder Singh Sisodia, who's having a fantastic run so far. He's already 5 under par after 9 holes and 8 under for the tournament as we go back to hole number 3. The players are taking their time to try and understand which way this ball will break. Very important for them to get the correct line if they are to hold this putt. Ravi Kumar here. Seems that he was able to drive the green on in 1. It's a pretty good effort there. Should be his birdie. We'll soon have a confirmation of that as well. The players would then move off to the par 5, fourth hole 481 yards. Then the fifth hole is another very short par 4 at 285 yards. The sixth, a short par 3 at 134. The seventh is a decent distance hole at 452 yards. A lot of birdie opportunities. The last two par 5s also just measuring a little bit over 500 and 530 yards. So the front nine is there for the taking. As we have a look at Cullen with his birdie attempt here. Look for this to break sharp to the left. It was
pretty
one of those.
good.
It was one of those double breakers that I keep telling you about.
Really
You don't
good
believe me
attempt.
on those.
Really good attempt of
Brilliant
that putt
putt by
there.
Cullen. I think he didn't expect that to turn the other way either.
Coach are having a bit of a laugh.
He said, "Thank you for clearing my doubt." It's tough to gauge a putt that breaks both ways. What do you reckon? Yeah, I think he should be able to make that putt. It's all well and good to know the line. You still have to put a perfect roll on the ball for it to go inside. Let's see if Karandeep is able to do this. It's pretty interesting the way that ball broke back to the left in the end. There's nothing to quite visually tell us that it should do that. Maybe that's how the grain is cut, and that's what something the players can see on the green itself. Not quite perceptible to us.
Let's see.
No,
Did
that
Coach
should
get that right?
What
Coach
a
did
brilliant
get
putt!
that right.
That's a very difficult putt. Broke both ways, but Coach are definitely on top of that. And now moving on to the par 5.
Coach are going to 13 under par, which
gonna-
will keep him 3 shots off the pace, while N. Thangaraja has dropped a shot on hole number 2 to drop down to 15 under par. While we look at that group now coming up onto the third hole, Chadda primed up for that flag location. He'll have a good angle to attack.
All of them laying up here.
So we have a lot of interesting action coming up on from this golf course, and players are going to be making a ton of birdies. We're already seeing a bunch of them on that leaderboard. Karthik Sharma making 2 of his first 6 holes, and the rest of them pars. We have Shivendra Singh Sisodia, who has made an eagle and 3 birdies on the front nine. Also got Ranjit Singh, who's getting off a hot start with 2 birdies in the first 6 himself to take his total up to 8 under par in a tie for 8th position. Sandeep Singh also making an early birdie, and Harinder Gupta and M. Dharma showcasing that experience. As we've seen, they always find their way somehow into the top 10.
Absolutely. I think that's where they think they belong. And they're very consistent in terms of their finishes in each tournament.
Absolutely. In fact, even with slow start to a tournament, they do find a way and sort of like stealthily keep moving up atop that leaderboard. I
think that's what
always
separates
notice.
them. They understand that they're in this for the long haul. A lot of players understand the importance of each position, and they don't quite, give up on the last day that okay, I'm not going to win a tournament or finish in the top 5. Maybe I can experiment a little with my game. I think a lot of these players know that the importance of each shot, and I think something. The world ranking points, I keep harping upon that, but that's definitely a carrot that is there in front of these players, and they know how important they are. And knowing how things can pan out on the final day, the top 5 can be busy in trying to win a tournament. They can take some risky decisions, and that can actually hurt them. So the chasing pack always has the opportunity to try and end in the top 5.
I think definitely, the world ranking points are a breather for a lot of the top players, and especially the fact that we've seen Udyan Mane a couple of years ago, who used only the world ranking points that he got from India the PGTI, and then that helped him to catapult himself into the Olympics all the way. And those kind of opportunities are superb because are competing at a grandstand where we have Aman Raj now coming from short of the green.
I think that almost seemed like an anomaly. He won like I think 5 tournaments that season, so it's quite difficult. But now that's the reason that he was able to make it to the Olympics because of that kind of a performance.
Interesting there, where Aman Raj goes with a chip and run approach, something which we don't see very often, especially in club golfers. Where he just took a lower lofted club and tried to get that ball rolling up towards the hole instead of pitching it all the way up there.
Seems to have worked out really well for him.
Sunit Bishnoi.
I think it's safe to assume that all these players will be here in two, trying to make a birdie on this hole.
Not sure. Sunit Bishnoi, a really good attempt with that chip, leaving himself just a tiny tap in. Karthik Sharma, after those 2 birdies on hole number 3 and 4, staying steady with a string of pars, currently at 9 under par for the tournament. Take a look at Badal Hussain coming up from about 20 feet. Which appears to be a putt for eagle for Badal on hole number 4.
Seems to be a pretty straightforward hole. We can see the players back on our screen. So if
As I hear from some of the players, that the par fives on this golf course are very much reachable, and players are able to take advantage of that. So that is something that every player has to do in case they want to shoot a good number over here. And they say that there are some par fours and some par threes where scoring is very difficult, especially if you miss the ball on the wrong side of the fairway. So in case not even getting into the trees, but just if you left the ball in the wrong side within the fairway, you could actually risk yourself to not get an approach shot. And Badal Hussain, having no such problems, rolls that one in conveniently. Seems like a hot putting day for Badal Hussain.
Badal Sen was a little bit of a dark horse at the start, but now he would be moving up to 11 under par. So I think in striking distance.
Interestingly, we started to see a lot of Badal Hussain only over the last couple of years, and before that, we saw more of Siddiqur Rahman. We saw Jamal Hussain, who came in from Bangladesh, and we saw these players. And Badal Hussain just came in a few years ago, and we've been seeing him being a very, very steady campaigner.
Yeah, we've not seen much of Siddiqur because he's playing more on the international tours. Zamal has been a regular.
Usually it takes a little bit of time and for seeing a lot of action, but when we look at Badal Hussain, he just come out onto the scene, and we've been seeing very good scoring from him pretty much week after week. Aman Raj rolling that one into the heart of the hole. Bishnoi, just a tiny tap in from him. As the players now move into the next hole, much awaited. Manu Gandas tapping that one in on hole number 3. Look at Abhijit Singh Chadha. Seems to have hit a good wedge shot into that green. A short one to close that deficit by just a little. Tangaraja definitely requiring to steady that ship up now. Been seeing that the players do end up having a lot more scoring opportunities and a lot more birdies in the front half of the golf course, and probably especially also because there are 3 par 5s on the front 9 of this course, and also like a hole like the third, which does give another wedge opportunity to the players. So that front 9 is going to be very, very important and crucial for all of these players to completely milk through the day. And that was a straight pull by Chadha. He'll have to settle for par here after that really good wedge shot. Manu Gandas keeping an eye. Thangaraja about 4 feet away.
Also, just to give you a few points about this tournament,
Nicely done by N. Thangaraja, rolling that one in conveniently. We will update you on the scores very shortly as we take a look at some airtime.
Impiger Technologies presents Chennai Open Golf Championship is the 11th event of the 2022 Tata Steel PGTI season. The PGTI makes its debut at the Tamil Nadu Golf Federation TNGF golf course with this event. And this event carries a whooping prize fund of 40 lakh. We have a total of 126 players who teed up. And out of that, we saw top 50 and ties making the cut. We also had quite a few prominent foreign professionals. Sri Lanka's Mithun Pereira, who is indeed quite the player. Then you have N. Thangaraja, Rohana. We also had Chennai-based amateurs in the field were cricketers Murli Vijay, Anirudh Srikanth, and Suman Ranjit. And a word on some of our associate and main title sponsors in a minute. Impiger Technologies, who is the presenting partner this week, a word on them. For more than 18 years, Impiger has been delighting enterprise customers with high quality software solutions and services with an industry leading customer retention rate. Impiger has been empowering and transforming businesses across industries through state of the art digital transformation initiatives, operating consistently as a trusted, responsive, and high quality partner to its customers across the globe. With offices in India, Singapore, UAE, Uganda, and USA, Impiger is headquartered in Chennai, India. Over the years, Impiger Technologies has built thousands of applications across mobile, cloud, and web applications across various leading cutting edge technologies. With over 400 plus professionals spread across the globe, Impiger has been a partner of choice, offering expertise and guidance from small startups to Fortune 500 companies. And our associate partner, Brigade Group, is one of India's leading property developers with 35 years of expertise in building positive experiences for all stakeholders. Instituted in 1986, the company has developed many landmark buildings and transformed the skyline across cities of South India, namely Bengaluru, Mysuru, Mangaluru, Chikmagalur, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kochi, and the gift city, Gandhinagar, with developments across the residential, commercial, retail, hospitality, and education sectors. Since its inception, Brigade has completed 250 plus buildings amounting to over 76 million square feet of developed space across a diverse real estate portfolio.
गुजरात की आंखों का तारा है सापुतारा। हम और आप तो यहाँ चंद दिन बिताएंगे। सुना है कि भगवान राम ने तो यहाँ पूरे 14 वर्ष बिताए थे। यहाँ के असली मालिक ये हैं। इनकी वारली पेंटिंग, इनका संगीत, यहाँ खुशबू है गुजरात की। अरे कब तक बैठे रहेंगे आप सीमेंट के मकान में? कुछ दिन तो गुजारो गुजरात में।
Yep, back on to all of the live action on the golf course. We're taking a look now at the first par 5 at the Players C, which is hole number 4. Colin Joshi hydrating himself just before he goes on to make some putts on this green, or maybe just one putt. Manu Gandas and N. Thangaraja both making fours on hole number 3, which keeps Manu Gandas in solo lead at 16 under par and Thangaraja at 15 under par. Abhijit Singh Chadda with a string of 3 pars on the first 3 holes is staying at 14 under par. That would be one missed opportunity on the third. Kocher with 1 birdie on the card already on hole number 3 gets up to 13 under par, closing in that gap. Now just 3 shots.
Are the players using driver on this tee, or you think they're going with the 3-wood? It seems like a narrow fairway though. My guess is that a lot of them are going with a 3-wood. 480 yards, they can easily get there with a 3-wood and a mid-iron.
It's a really nice shot there.
Back to Karandeep Kocher. Should make this birdie and move to 14 under par.
Just comes away short of the flag location.
And a little crooked as well. Seems to be about 15, 20 feet off the intended line of play.
Ravi Kumar, after dropping 2 shots on the first 2 holes, now has an opportunity for birdie here on the 4th. Take a look at Akshay Sharma, who is now at 2 under par for the day, going up to 9 under par for the tournament. A tie for 7th alongside Sandeep Singh and Karthik Sharma. That's some really good scoring, as we are seeing. All players are just within 1 shot of one another. Lots of ties. It just goes to showcase the kind of depth that the Professional Golf Tour of India has. Players from across Sri Lanka, Nepal, and other foreign countries do come here to participate and compete amongst the best in the country. And of course, this tour does provide players the opportunity of being a stepping stone into bigger, better pastures going further. Having said that, you have to know that domestically, the PGTI is one of the strongest and the best golf tours in the world.
Absolutely. You can't think of a better breeding ground of champions all over the world in terms of domestic golf. And a lot of credit goes out to everyone involved with the PGTI, be it the sponsors, the organizers, the administrators, or the team. And the players itself for producing. I think the players first and foremost to make this happen. And as I did mention, the associate sponsors, I think their role is paramount towards the success. It takes as they say, it takes a village to make something happen, and definitely PGTI has been trending in the right direction. There have been milestones that have been covered year after year, whether it's the world ranking points now, or whether it's an Indian PGTI player, an Indian player winning in all major tours of the world, whether it's European, PGA, Asian. That's a feat that not many domestic tours can actually boast of, and that shows you of the depth of golf. Gone are the days that You can expect the cut to be 5, 7, 8 over if the main players are not playing. Many a times our international players come back and they also end up missing the cut because it's extremely bunched up and tight, and there's a lot of fierce competition. And all of the players on the PGTI, the top players, are imbued with a sense of pride and purpose regarding their future. So, as we go back to Karandeep, unfortunately, won't make birdie here.
Missing that one up just on the left of the hole. Colin Joshi. Colin Joshi knows that he needs to make birdie on this par 5 and start to move up that leaderboard. Joshi just about 4 feet away.
Which way is this breaking, Rahul?
That one's going to be a pretty straight putt.
Straight in the
Colin
hole.
Joshi just about using the corner of the hole to get inside. That will take him up to 12 under par for the tournament. And that'll still be 4 shots shy of the lead.
The good thing is this golf course presents a lot of opportunities for birdies and eagles as you move on to the back nine. And for the chasing lot, that's something to take heart from. And for the one who's leading, it sort of puts a little bit of pressure because you can't just be content in pars. You have to keep making birdies here. I predict the winning score will be somewhere around the 20 under mark. It could easily get there.
Ravi Kumar rolling that one in for a birdie. That'll help him steady that ship after making 2 bogeys on the first 2 holes. As my co-commentator Shaurya was mentioning just a few minutes ago, just before the players were Zamal Hussain Molla just tapping it in conveniently with a wedge, playing alongside Divyanshu Bajaj. Divyanshu Bajaj from Calcutta, working very hard on his fitness and diet regimen over the past couple of months. Coming up on hole number 9, electing to use a putter from short of the green.
Opting for the putter. Seems to have given that a little bit too much. Now will have his work cut out. Downhill slick, all of 3.5 feet. He will have to work hard to hold that one.
Playing alongside their co-partner Mohammad Azhar. Mohammad Azhar currently at a total score of 5 under. Apologies. Currently a total of -5. Putting there on the 9th hole, it appears to be a birdie putt, slick from the left to the right. It appears.
Seems to have.
Didn't break as much as what it looked like.
I think he.
Even the hole seems to be bent over towards the right.
I think it seems he might have sort of gone through the break. Sometimes you hit it too firm and you go beyond the apex point, and that's why it's so difficult to hold those putts that break from left to right. Because any sort of inconsistency in the stroke can actually be.
Could you tell us a little more about what the apex point is in putting?
So when you're putting on a straight putt, you just aim in the center and hit it. And when there is a slope, let's say like we had to look at this putt, which is turning from left to right. So you'd probably look at a point which is the highest point at which you would align your putter. So when you aim at that point, that is your apex point, and you started at that, and then you expect the ball to break off into the hole.
Nice
You can
piece
see
of
how he's
information
lining
there.
up. You can see how he's lining up that ball on his intended line. Now, I think this kind of putt is what separates a lot of the good putters from maybe the average putters, because this requires a lot of touch, feel, and imagination. You see Shamim make a lot of these, and believe you me, these are very difficult because you can't quite hit them firm because you risk, you know, risk
Going through
going
the line.
beyond and then maybe even three putting. So you have to have a deft touch and also perfect contact, which he has done on this occasion.
Nicely done by Divyanshu Bajaj there. And just to confirm that, Kalin Joshi has made an eagle on hole number 4, and that has taken him up to 13 under par to tie alongside Kochar and be just 3 shots shy. We had mistakenly said that he made birdie there, but that was an eagle for Joshi.
So Kalin Joshi, really not wasting much time. He wants another victory. As they say, success begets success, and maybe he's going to go from one win to another.
Now we take a look at Akshay Sharma and Sandeep Singh. Sandeep Singh noting something down in his yardage book there, something which is very imperative for pro golfers.
Mari Muthu here.
Mari Muthu with 2 birdies in the first 2 holes and then 2 birdies later on 4 and 5 to steady that ship. Let's see what this hole has in store for him after making that putt. He's currently at 7 under par, although 7 under par at the start of the day was way above where it is now. And 7 under par currently is at the tie of 15th position. That is some serious quality of golf.
Shows you the standard of golf in on the PGTI. Pars are definitely not going to cut it here. It's all about birdies and eagle.
Sandeep Singh also conveniently making that putt. We look at Akshay Sharma from Chandigarh, a former winner on tour, about 4 feet away from the flag location. Akshay Sharma meticulously reading that line, seems like a bit of a breaker here.
Right in to the center of the hole. Good putt there. High fives between the caddy and the player. The caddies understand the importance of each putt. It's a very unique relationship that a caddy and a player shares, almost
Well,
symbiotic.
the kind of leaderboard that we are having a look at over here, there is no other option but to be absolutely crisp on every golf shot possible, as this man has to be today. Enthangaraja at 15 under par, one shot away from our leader, Manu Gandas.
Should be able to
Enthangaraja
make birdie here.
with a solid chip attempt here. Thangaraja knows that there are too many players breathing down his neck over here.
We've already seen 3 eagles on hole number 4 today, so showing you that it's a very inviting hole indeed.
Manu Gandas seems to have been invited, but he seems to have overshot a little bit. Let's see if he can get this one up close and personal with that flag location.
It's going to make for some interesting viewing. Look for this to be another high flop shot. This is where finesse and technique really come to the fore.
Manu Gandas taking a look closely at that lie of the ball, making sure there is enough information that he has at hand to create enough spin on the ball when it drops on the green.
Most amateurs would make the mistake of sort of leaving this shot. It's very easy to decelerate on this one. Very tough to actually keep the club going through and trust that it'll spin.
Has he got that right? He's left that short just like Karan Tonk did some time ago.
Shows you the degree of difficulty on that golf shot.
Absolutely. Each of the players in that top 5 as of now need to be making a lot of birdies to move on. Badal Hussain has also reached up to 10 under par. 6 shots off the pace. The depth of the scoreboard over here is just amazing. We've seen there are 35 players at under par, 1 under or better in this tournament. Abhijit Singh Chadha. It appears to be a putt for eagle. We'll only confirm a little while later after the players finish the hole.
Seems to have done a decent job. Should be able to make that putt.
According to his standard of play, that surely was an eagle putt.
Yeah, and should be able to move to 15 under par. Surveying his putt there. After that, so as to speak, an average effort on that flop shot.
I'm pretty sure the effort was pretty good, but just just came up way short of the expectations from our leader, especially after that scintillating chip in that he showed us on the first hole. I think we've got a lot more expectations of Manu Gandas's wedge play.
Exactly. He's done that to us. Now we expect him to produce the exemplary on each occasion. Obviously, that's not possible. Let's see if he can make this putt. If he makes this putt, he's able to go 2 ahead for the time being of Thangaraja.
Disturbed and moves away. Probably not so sure about that line, with that Zen-like appearance still staying with him. Manu Gandas focusing in back into that putt. One of the things that good players do very well is that they don't actually pull the trigger till the time they're sure. And sometimes, if you're like my friend Shaurya, that could take you a while to be sure. And nonetheless, Manu Gandas not wasting too much time than just a few seconds to get back on that putt.
Oh, he's
Run that by about 4 feet.
made a little bit of a meal of that. I have to have his work cut out for that putt coming back.
Abhijit Chadda needs this to move a little bit closer off to the lead. Needs to get something going there with that flat stick. Abhijit Chadda with yet another miss. Hole number 4. Unfortunately, two really good chances of birdie, but not converting them. Colin Joshi making another birdie and moving to 14 under par to be within 2 shots of the lead alongside Kochar and Chadda. All three players tied at 14 under. As you can see, the leaders are separating themselves from the rest of the pack, although Colin Joshi, Kochar and Chadda now within 2 shots. And Tangaraja from Sri Lanka. And Tangaraja holding that putt for birdie and will be able to tie the lead back again with Manu Gandas. One drop shot and one picked shot that keeps Sangaraja at even par for the day through the first 4 holes. Manu Gandas with a little bit of work there left to clean up for a 5 on the 4th hole. That will hurt a little bit, being an approachable par 5. We have confirmation there when we saw Aman Raj earlier on the 3rd hole. That was a 3-putt bogey. So we were thinking that he was probably there on the green in one shot. Our apologies for that missed piece of information. While we look at Manu Gandas needing to clean up for that par on hole number 4. He does that beautifully. That live leaderboard that walks around with the final few groups.
That's a privilege, actually, of the last few groups.
And like every player just looks forward to having one of those next to them, right? And I remember how in the first time that I played internationally, there was this caddy bib which had the Bajaj written on it, and it was so exciting just to have that feeling. Just,
Are you sure? Was it not one of the sponsors?
that is another possibility. As you were speaking earlier, we wanted to speak a little bit about how the PGTI brings out all of this great action on your screens and to your cities via channels like ABP Live. We also want to tell you that PGTI has tour partners in the name of Tata Steel, Rolex, Amrutanjan, Fruitnik, Electro Plus, and American Express. And we'd like to tell you a little bit about these companies which come out and support professional golf in the country. Tata Steel Group is among the top global steel companies with an annual crude steel capacity of 33 million tons per annum, one of the world's most geographically diversified steel producers, with operations and commercial presence across the world. course, most of us are very, we know about Tata Steel very well, and Rolex and golf has had an association since 1967. Rolex has been supporting golf across the world for as long as that. Rolex, known for its flawless timing, precision, and control, are distinctive hallmarks of both Rolex as well as great golfers. Amrutanjan Fruitnik Electro Plus, the hydration partner and the presenting partner of this tournament, is a 127-year-old company with a rich legacy and is best known for its iconic brand Amrutanjan Pain Balm. Purpose-driven and an innovative company, Amrutanjan Healthcare offers a versatile product portfolio. Fruitnik Electro Plus is a juice-based electrolyte drink offered first time in India in a convenient PET bottle, rehydrates, energizes, and helps to regain electrolytes lost due to sports, exercise, travel, and hot conditions. Nothing more fitting than to be a part of the sporting world. American Express, of course, is one of those payment cards and those payment gateways that will be required to purchase any of these Fruitnik Electro Pluses, the integrated payments company that provides customers with access to products, insights, and experiences that enrich lives and build business success. The mission of American Express is to become essential to their customers by providing differentiated products and powerful backing to help them achieve their aspirations. Quick about Gujarat Tourism, which is a co-partner for the PGTI in this event. Avo Padharo, the words of welcome in the language of Gujarat, because it is here that these words ring truly, and the guest is God, and the people of Gujarat are gregariously friendly, inviting, and will entice you to come again and again, as we will also see some of the Gujarat tourism commercials running on your screens in just a bit. We'll give you a nice idea and a showcase into what Gujarat is all about. A great shot there, using the slope to get as close as possible to the flag location. One of the things, of course, that a lot of us do not know is that Gujarat is a brilliantly beautiful place, also for tourism, with a lot of rich wildlife and the Asiatic lion, which is there at the Gir National Park. Bird watching sanctuaries and one of the world's tallest statue. The Statue of Unity is 600 feet tall, 182 meters. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is located at Kevadia near the Narmada Dam in Rajpipla. Lovely beaches, of course, and a lot of golf also on offer at the place. While we take a look at Ranjit Singh.
Thank you for that word on our sponsors. In fact, Ranjit is striding down like a lion himself. I believe you heard his roar in the morning in the form of a phone call. So he's doing pretty well, is Ranjit. Currently at 8 under par for the tournament and 2 under par for the day. Here on hole number 9. We have on our screens Badal Hussain. It's important you'll see Aman Raj on your screens. He's actually looking at Badal's putt. Even if it's not the same line, the players tend to gauge a lot about the speed of the green, how the ball will react, and they always keep a keen eye on the other player's putt just to understand. And that's a brilliant putt there by Badal. Now you see Aman will replace his marker back. So he was in fact in the intended line of Badal's putt. So he would have got a good read on that. He'll use that experience on his own putt. Look at some of the scores today. We have Adil Bedi currently at 4 under for the day and 8 under for the tournament. Aman Raj, who's on our screen right now, not having the best of days, but you would definitely like that putt as he's made a birdie and will move him back to level par for the day. Some of the other players out on the golf course who are doing well. Abhinav Lohan at 4 under par for the day. Karthik Sharma on our screen is 2 under for the day and 9 under for the tournament. So he'd be looking to make a move right about now. That's a brilliant shot there by him. Had to extricate himself from that tricky situation, and that's a decent effort on hole number 9. The ninth hole is a par 5, measuring 533. And for these players, that's very reachable in 2 shots indeed. Ranjit Singh now hitting his 4th.
A lot of undulations on these greens, players having to navigate that, as we see that even though the course does not have too much of length, but it adds toughness in various ways, and one of those is to have so many slopes on the greens and to have those double breakers. On various occasions we've seen that.
Yeah, that is the last line of defense, so as to speak, for this golf course. Very inviting off the tee, but it's on the green where things become a little complicated for these players.
Adil Bedi making a move on that leaderboard after a 75 yesterday. Today, 4 under par through the front 9. Badal Hussain. Sunit Bishnoi, who has just made a string of 3 birdies on hole number 3, 4, and 5 to be at 2 under par for the day and move to 9 under par for the tournament. It's interesting that being at that score has only almost just kept Sunit Bishnoi steady on that leaderboard, in fact, and that goes to show the depth of this playing field. You have to be 2 under or better to even maintain your position today.
Brilliant putt there. Oh, unfortunate.
I see that every time you speak something, it just goes and misses. Why does that happen?
I always thought the same about you as well. I think it's, in all fairness, that was a very good putt by him. But
Just coming short in terms of speed, I feel.
I think there's a time where uh, start that speech that was given by Robert De Niro in that movie,
Well, we see
or Al Pacino in The Longest Yard.
Karandeep Kochhar seems to have taken the lead over there with a birdie on 3, eagle on 4, and a birdie on the 5th to move up to 16 under par.
Manu Gandas also hanging in there.
We request you to just hang on that announcement of mine for a second.
As we have a look at the players who are walking down the 8th hole, the par 5. This gives you a very good up close and personal view. The players use this marker to mark the position of the ball. And what you normally see is that the marker is put about a centimeter or so behind where the ball is. And this is done to record the position of your ball when you lift it, clean it, and you have to place it back in the exact same spot. Fortunately, not quite going in the hole there for Karan Tonk.
Ranjit Singh. With a putter that is probably as old as him, but
I don't think he's gonna like that. Huh? But
as long as the putts are going in,
definitely, I think he was he's putting a landmine for you. I don't think he. I think he just wanted to pull your leg. To be honest with you.
we have Arjun Puri on our
The
screens.
youngest 47-year-old looking person.
Wasn't happy that I reduced his age.
That's the first.
That's the first, right? Tie for 36th position currently for Arjun Puri, a 2 over par for the day and 1 over par for the tournament. No problems there.
You look at a golf course, it's in the ideal setting to just relax and enjoy. And I think that's so important in life. I know we're getting a little off track, but I feel it's, as they say, sometimes it's the time to stop and smell the roses, and no better opportunity than to go to a golf course to do that.
You want to enlighten us, like what has happened in your life that suddenly you've become very philosophical? I've been seeing since yesterday.
Realize the higher calling that you must also, that it's important to work, but also very important to keep in touch with the game. And that's why I try to take time out and ensure that I play a round of golf a week. And now my next aim is to beat you.
Is that your higher calling?
Exactly.
Really?
Yes. I think golf provides the perfect escape from a busy life, and and it's played in such a nice setting that you can really relax, be at one with nature. And for many of us who don't live in, unfortunately tend to live in concrete jungles, this golf is the perfect respite from that. And the good news is that there are many public golf courses all over India, and even the ones that we have our tournaments on, these golf courses, you can just head over to them, pay a small little fee, and go to the driving range. Maybe that's about 2 to 300 rupees, and there are steep discounts for juniors and children. So if you have wards or your relatives or friends children, I would suggest definitely start them on the game of golf. As we have a look at hole number 5, playing to 285 yards, a very reachable par 4. And here we see that
Sagar
player
Raghuvanshi.
has thrown caution to the wind.
Sagar Raghuvanshi teed off from the 10th hole at 8 a.m. alongside Samarth Dwivedi and Arjun Puri.
Not happy with that at all. Seems to
Clearly,
be
his
hitting-
emotions are not contained, as we spoke
hitting
earlier.
his heart on his sleeve. Let's hope he doesn't need to bring another ball out from the sleeve to reload.
Puri now going with that big stick. Par 4 to 285 yards means a pretty reachable.
I would think a lot of these players, the longer hitters, can probably get there with the 3-wood.
Absolutely. I think players like Abhijit Chadda would be going with a 3-wood here.
Maybe even a rescue the length he hits it.
Wouldn't be surprised if Samarth Dwivedi, their playing partner, also pulls out the 3-wood. There we have Karandeep Kochar. Undulation on that fairway as well. Something we don't see very often in Parkland design courses, but that is quite a bit of undulation.
The ball really came out high. Look for that to have some spin on it. That's a brilliant shot by Karandeep there.
Kochar coming very close to the flag location. My apologies earlier. It's a lot of updates on that leaderboard. You'll have to give us a minute or two before we apprise you of the same.
Yeah, some of the scores were erroneous, and now we're having a look at the updated leaderboard. Manu Gandas leading at 16 under par. Abhijit Singh Chadda at 15. Thanga Raja at 14, who did start the day as a leader, but now finds himself trailing 2 other players. Karandeep Kochar at 13 under par, and Kalan Joshi looking for back-to-back success at 12 under par. The players walking down on hole number 7.
Seventh is a par 4 of 452 yards, so pretty long hole, and Karandeep Kochhar seems to be making a very small deal out of that, with that approach shot coming in within 6 feet.
It's going to be an interesting shot to view by
On the
Akshay.
ninth hole, Akshay Sharma for his second shot.
First time we're seeing a player hit that long club. Some brilliant camera work to follow that ball, which seems to be veering a little bit off to the right, but that's a good shot by Akshay in prime position.
Colin Joshi seems to have found himself in too short of the green. I'm assuming that he hasn't hit that driver 420 yards off the tee box. That'll make him work a little bit hard for that up and down. Joshi currently at 3 under par for the day and a total score of 14 under par.
This makes for interesting viewing, having a look at the players going for that green as we have a look at Mari Muthu R. Seems to be going with a rescue iron. The ninth playing in at about 530 yards. So the player would have probably hit a 3-wood off the tee, close to somewhere about 280, 290 yards, then maybe about 240 yards to the green, opting to go with a rescue. Seems to have miscued that, and that's is not. We are not quite sure where that is, but definitely not very intended for that to go. The co-player has raised his hand. That means the ball is visible, and there you can see it on that cart path. But he would not get a free drop from there, I think. So would have to play it as it lies. Definitely not the outcome he was expecting. So that is one of the things that can have happen with unbridled power. If it's not controlled, you can actually end up in the wrong direction.
Ravi Kumar, appearing to be really adventurous there, has found himself in a bit of an uphill lie situation. Let's see what he does from here. Ravi Kumar also making strides all right on that leaderboard, now at 1 under par for the day after making 2 bogeys at the start. Pretty good effort. Will be coming to still make a bit of a putt on that 7th hole. Ravi Kumar bogeys on the first 2 holes and birdies on number 4, 5 and 6 to be at 10 under par, 1 shot better than his total from 3 runs. Ravi Kumar with a little bit of work there to save par on hole number 7. Padil Hussain moving himself up to 11 under par. Ravi Kumar, not his best effort to save par here on the seventh hole. That would be another bogey for Ravi. Unfortunately, he has gone on to make three birdies and three bogeys now within the first seven holes. That, of course, really is all the good work being undone there.
Seems like a lot of birdies are coming in bunches for players between hole number 3 and 6. As we have a look at Marimutu, we just saw pull that second shot on the ninth hole. And this will be interesting view. Maybe all of about 65 to 70 yards from this. So he has gotten a free drop. My apologies. I thought that was a dirt path, but seems to be a free drop that he's got from there and has really lofted that high. What a brilliant shot. And that's what power brings you. It's not just off the tee, but even in your recovery shots, you're able to generate that speed in a very short backswing.
I like the way that Marimutu didn't really waste much of time. Once he made up his mind, he just went ahead and hit that shot. And I think that's kind of a good thing because it just gives you that, you basically back yourself up and execute instead of overthinking it. And I think that's something that we all could learn a lot from.
Yeah, especially me. But I think
But in all seriousness, I think it's a good habit to sort of get.
I think it's
not mull over it too much. I guess
it's more symptomatic of how you are as a person. So if you don't mull over your wrong decisions and just sort of take life as it is, it's
like we said, a lot of philosophy coming from you for the last 48 hours.
Absolutely. I think I'm tending towards Stoicism by Aristotle, but I think this is really how you play good golf. You can't really stay in the past. You have to look into the present and execute that shot. There's no point thinking about the shot that may come or the one that is gone. Everybody makes mistakes, but the players were able to rebound from that, and that takes a certain kind of emotional, sort of being centered, and that's what really champions are made of. I think we've seen many a great players capitulate on the final day. Who can forget Jean Van de Velde and how he went into the burn and that famous triple bogey. So that obviously is a lot about decision making and sort of staying in the moment.
What Jean Van de Velde did there was something that I don't like to remember it at all. It's one of those things that you wish you hadn't seen.
And what's so important in golf, like any other sport, or as we tend to get derailed time to time, it never compound your errors. It's always, we are human. We will definitely make mistakes in all walks of life, whether it's sport or professional. But what's important is that you do not compound your errors. So if you have to take the safe route, chip out and play. But if you do have an opportunity to redeem yourself, as Mari Muthu did, then by all means, carry on. I would have capped off quite the birdie, but not to be. But par won't hurt too much either.
Sandeep Singh. Sandeep Singh currently at a tie for 7th position at 9 under par, playing to 2 under par today. Oh, just misses that one. He would go on to stay at the same score. And back to hole number 7. Take a look at the group of N. Thangaraja walking up into that fairway now. Thangaraja, Manu Gandas, and Abhijit Singh Chadda unable to place Chadda, but Manu Gandas on the left side of that fairway. Probably need to draw the ball a little bit. And the players seem to be waiting for Abhijit Singh Chadda. He seems to be in the other fairway on this hole. Manu Gandas finding his way onto that dance floor. Two balls on the green and one just short of it. Will apprise you of the exact situation very soon while Manu Gandas leads the way at 16 under par. Abhijit Singh Chadda is at 15 under par. There we have a player coming in from the woodworks with a little low fade on the 9th hole. Look at Aman Raj. That was Badal Hussain who came in from under the trees, fading that ball back onto just short of the green. Aman Raj coming up from the left side of the fairway on the 9th hole, the par 5. Scoring opportunity for all of these professionals. Aman Raj giving it a good whack with a long iron as it seems. A little bit too much of club, but that will give Aman a good shot at birdie. Should have enough room to work that golf ball, get close to the hole, or maybe even inside. As we wait for their third playing partner, Sunit Bishnoi. Bishnoi coming up from the right side of the fairway, primed up in a good location for this flag position. Fortunately, we missed that swing of Bishnoi's. At 9:10 a.m. group, Sunit Bishnoi, Aman Raj and Badal Hussain making their way onto the green on the 9th hole. As we move along the day, there's someone who has struck that ball right next to the flag location, Abhijit Singh Chadda. Man who's one shot off the lead, giving himself a really close opportunity there on hole number 7. Manu Gandas leads the way at 16 under par, just one shot ahead of Abhijit Chadda. Really wide fairway here on the ninth hole. Seems like a slight bit of a dogleg towards the right side for the players. An approachable distance for this par 5. Both 8th as well as the ninth hole are par 5s. The 3 par 5s on the front nine at the TNGF Cosmo, and giving the players a ton of opportunities to make birdies. But also the par 4s and the par 3s add to the challenge on this course, as we see N. Thangaraja leaving that putt a tad bit short of the hole.
As the proceedings go, who do you think is going to come out trumps?
I think it's still too early to say anything. I do not see
You
that.
can't sit on the fence. You got to take. You got to pick one.
No, I'm not. I don't think this game is over yet. I think it's far from over. Badal Hussain has taken himself up to 12 under par, and actually he's gotten into the game as well. He is now
Yes,
at 3 under
he
par for the
started
day.
off had a wobbly start with a bogey on hole number 2, but has undone all that damage.
And more. Made 4 birdies after that and is down to 12 under par now within 4 shots of the lead. And I think 4 shots off the lead with 10 holes to go is very much in play.
Absolutely.
Manu Gandas for birdie on the 7th.
This would take him 2 clear of Abhijit Singh Chadda. More of an outside chance, but still a very good effort there. I think this is the first time we're seeing Abhijit dressed in red and black.
Clearly, Abhijit has his sight set correctly today. I'm at 15 under par with a close look at birdie over here on the 7th. Of course, confirmations await. Colin Joshi dropping 1 shot on the 7th. He's now down to 13 under par, 3 shots out. There we have Ravi Kumar hitting that about 20 feet past the hole.
It's makeable putt from there for Ravi. Ravi not
After a little bit of a technical glitch over there, we hope you didn't miss us all too much. We take a look now back at the action on the golf course. On our screen right now is Arjun Prasad. Arjun Prasad is playing alongside Ashbir Seni and S. Prasant. Arjun Prasad is currently at a total score of 4 over par. His playing partner Ashbir Seni is currently at a total score of even par. Even par currently ties for the 30th position. As we go back to the leader group, lots of people back to watch the Chennai Open Golf Championship at their golf course right in the heart of the city. Ravi Kumar on the screen now. Ravi Kumar with 3 bogeys and 3 birdies, a lot of color on his scorecard at even par right now, coming on to that 9th hole, second shot, which comes up just a little short off the green. The 9th is a par 5 here. Abhijit Singh Chadda and Manu Gandas both keeping it very steady and staying patient. And of course, Badal Hussain has moved up to 13 under par, now getting himself to within 3 shots off the lead. Badal Hussain is one of those players from the middle of the pack of that top 10 that is moving steadily upwards. Cullen Joshi on the 9th. What seems like a long iron in his hand. Cullen, of course, looking to do some damage over here, is currently at 14 under par after making a birdie on hole number 8.
Look for this to be close with an iron in his hands.
And of course, quality of play and aggression can definitely get this ball close enough to the flag.
Seems to have taken off in the correct line. Brilliant camera work there. That's a good shot. Adjacent to the green.
Just about a lot of slope on these greens.
Yes, you can see it's almost a little bit of a swale there, then a trough. This looks like an inviting enough hole, although off the tee you can see there is some difficulty. Karandeep has also hit a long drive. Going with an iron, I think seems to be that Karandeep has picked up a yard or 2 in the off-season. It's never too bad to have more distance in your arsenal.
No, that never hurt anyone. Karandeep Kochhar really good with his iron play. Can get this ball within a few feet. What probably appears to be like a 6 or a 5 iron for Karan.
Coming off a birdie on the last hole. Let's see if he can replicate that here.
Kochhar and Cullen both made birdies on the 8th hole.
Fantastic shot there as well, just off the edge of the green.
That should be fine though. Looks like a bit of an uphill chip. Should have enough space to be able to stop the ball.
Yes, both of them have missed it on the correct side, onto the right side of the green, because if you can see where the flag is perched up, the left side is difficult from that bunker. So they have a very realistic shot at birdie.
The number of slopes on that chip appear like it's not a double breaker. Might just be a triple or a quadruple breaker. At that, very interesting lay of the greens over here at TNGF Cosmo, playing to superb conditions this week. Lush green, the greens rolling at a speed of 10 to 10.5. Really good conditions for the players to be capitalizing on.
We also want to tell you, the viewers, how the speed of the green. You must be wondering what Rahul has just said. What do you mean by 10.5 on the stimp meter? Rahul, would you like to elucidate and tell us how that is calculated, the speed on the stimp meter?
So the stimp meter is basically a device which is like a standard sloping device where the ball is suspended from the top and the greenskeeper lets it just roll. And once the ball hits the grass, onto a flat
area and drop from a certain height only.
Certain height. Not really drop, but rolled from a certain height. So sort of left on that slope, and the slope takes care of the speed so that the the person who is sending the ball is not actually causing that ball to run.
Exactly.
So once that happens, when the ball touches the ground, they calculate as to how many feet did the ball run after it touched the putting surface.
And higher the score, the faster the greens.
Faster the greens.
So normally you find that on majority of the golf courses that you would play during your leisure rounds, they would normally roll between 7 to 8.5.
Abhijit Singh Chadda rolling that one in on the 8th.
So you think the greens would normally roll at about 7 to 8 on an average day. So tournament golf, they are up at about 10. And the really quick, how much is Augusta? Somewhere around 12?
13.
13.
13 is what we see at Augusta. 13 to 14 maybe.
Anything
at
above
max.
I would think anything above 9.5 is deemed as quick.
Yeah, I think we are touching good speeds. Anything above 9.5.
There you can see how the ball rolls true. Just there, stopping about a foot short of the flag on hole number 8.
Manu Gandas keeping his ship very steady with a string of pars from 2 to 7 and a birdie on the first.
But I'm afraid to say that Steady is not going to do it today.
Don't be afraid, my friend. We shall know very soon
I think
how things will pan out.
He'll have to soon pull off a string of birdies. Otherwise, the other players are catching up.
I definitely think someone needs to separate themselves. Otherwise, this is probably going to lead to the way it is going right now. It seems like it could be a 3-way or a 4-way playoff by the looks of it.
Yeah, the leader Thangaraja is unfortunately trending in the wrong direction. 2 over for the day, so he really needs to get his act together sooner rather than later. Some of the other players who are out on the golf course and producing some good golf. Harinder Gupta at 4 under for the day and 8 under for the tournament. Jamal Hussain from Bangladesh, 4 under for the day, 8 under for the tournament. Then you have Varun Parekh, the long hitting player, at 2 under for the day, 6 under for the tournament. And towards the bottom half of the leaderboard, you have Om Prakash Chauhan, 3 under for the day, 3 over for the tournament, and making an eagle on the 18th hole. So a lot of eagles and birdies to go around as we go back to Kalin Joshi here at hole number 9, my apologies. Going with that high lofted shot. Need a little bit more gas on that, sort of. Maybe went under that a little bit. Difficult shot indeed, because the flag is on a level above, so you need to get the speed right, and I think he sort of undercut that a little bit. Let's see what Ravi Kumar can do here. Brilliant effort. It's always easier to chip off the short stuff as opposed to the rough. But the rough does make it easier to hit a flop shot. The high shot is a lot easier to execute when you are in the rough, especially if the ball is not trundled down. It's space between the ground and the ball. Then it makes it very easy to hit that flop shot. And the flop shot is very difficult to execute from the tightly cut fairways because there's no margin for error. But what you would notice normally that maybe from 50 or 40 yards out, if a player is hitting it off the short stuff, he's able to generate a lot of spin. The ball does pitch and stop within a quick duration. On the contrary, when you hit from the rough, there seems to be some sort of top spin at times. That's because blades of grass actually come in between the ball and the club's face surface. So that impedes upon the spin that you can impart. So all these things are very important when you are playing around a golf and help you to make a better decision. And talking about better decisions, Manu Gandasin is also in need of a few. His lead is dwindling as we speak. Cullen. Now let's see if Cullen can make that putt. Right left putt. Oh, I think he has just about underrated. That was a good effort. Just about missing the putt on the lower side. So Cullen would move off to the back nine, having played the front nine in 3 under, which is a good effort. He's still there. I feel that if you're 3 or 4 shots adrift with 9 holes to go, you have a realistic chance. Seems like Karandeep has also miscued his third shot. So obviously that goes to show you that it was a very difficult shot from that bottom right hand side. Contrary to perception and what it looks like, maybe there's a lot more than meets the eye to this shot. It's probably the elevation change, because if you catch it a little too hot, it might just go off on the other side, and then you're facing a 20-footer downhill. So players prefer uphill putts as opposed to downhill putts, because they're making them look for Karandeep to make his putt. For those of you who are just joining us, we'd like to tell you that we're at the Impiger presents Chennai Open Golf Championship 2022, powered by Fruitnik Electro Plus. We're coming to you live from TNGF Cosmo Golf Course. Tournament boasts of a prize of rupees 40 lakh. That's a lot of money that the players are playing for. And from that prize fund, the winner would get over rupees 6 lakh.
Ravi Kumar not very much believing in pars on the final round. He's made 4 birdies and 3 bogeys on that front nine so far. To be now at 10 under par is where that'll take him. Seems like he misread that one. Coacher.
Shades of grass as the player standing along the direction of the hole, and the other is cut against it.
Or a back onto that ninth green. We had a little bit of a technical glitch there from Chennai. Looking at Manu Gandas coming off from the right side of that green, probably having to navigate 3 of the slopes of the Amazon before he gets to that flag.
You think that shot is a little easier than the one that was facing the previous group from that side of the green? What do you think? From that angle,
We'll only come to know shortly. He
That's not
appears to be
helpful.
more of a pin-high position. So clearly, again, a difficult spot that takes the ball in the end towards the
think there's
hole.
something
That's
to
the
it,
one that's confusing.
I think the players are not really aggressive on the shot because it can roll off to the other side.
I think it appears that it's going to run off due to that slope, and
Exactly.
probably
Than the other two players that we saw previously. And if he has to fly away from his competition, then Manu should look to make that putt, because the 3 shot advantage is a psychological one. The 9 holes to go, and I have to cover up 3 shots, and that can force these other players to be more aggressive than what they would be normally. So Manu should be looking to make that putt. There you have on our screens, and Thanga Raja, who's cooled off a little bit. He's the only player. He's still within shouting distance. He's two shots adrift, and let's see if he can make that birdie here. He does have a birdie putt. Abhi Chadda, who we saw hitting that what we perceive to be a monstrous drive, has this for eagle maybe, but if not, worst case, he has a birdie putt.
Chadda using a traditional ping answer kind of a design putter. Fortunately, that was probably a bit of an extra read by him. We'll have to tap that in and settle for par. My apologies, we settled for a birdie.
And Thangaraja here. They say that on the final day, on the back nine, is where a tournament starts at Augusta, and I think this place is no different.
Absolutely, I think, and also these greens, the number of slopes on them, kind of like Augusta, isn't it?
Exactly.
Now that you say so, would have never struck my
Very
head otherwise.
difficult, very difficult greens indeed, and that's something that a golf course just need. It requires a feature that can actually withstand the onslaught of these good professionals. Otherwise, they'll just run riot. They'll reach 30, 35 under par with the lengths they can hit it, and obviously this golf course does not have much of a defense in terms of length of the tee. So greens are where these players are getting the to really test their skill.
Manu Gandas needing to make some move on that board. He needs that birdie now.
It's not a very difficult putt uphill. A little bit of break from the right.
I think that's a double breaker again because I think there are two slopes there. One's gonna start dropping that ball off from the right, from the left, and thereafter just straighten out a little bit.
Up close and personal.
There he
There he
is.
does it,
Manu Gandas making a birdie on the ninth hole to get to 17 under par.
Is that going to be the defining moment of this tournament?
Not yet, I think. Gandas seem to basically be separating themselves from the field right now, but I still wouldn't put my money on any of these people because as of now, I think there is a lot of golf to be played.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of commentary to be done as well, my friend. It's still early days.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this front nine so far? That we've seen some really good golf.
So, I mean, by the looks of the front nine, one thing I do like about it is, of course, that there are three par fives, and that gives the players more scoring opportunities. And there are two approachable trend that we've been seeing over here. Unfortunately, and Thangaraja goes on to miss another putt there. The trend that we've been seeing is that even though there are some scoring opportunities and players do make a ton of birdies out here, the undulations on the greens and some of the holes, if you miss them on the wrong side, the players are also ending up making a lot of bogeys. So I think what Abhijit and Manu Gandas are showing to us today is a lot of steadiness in their game, going stealthily about their business. And I think that will help them to sort of maybe change that pace a little bit going into the back nine. At the end of the day, they are now three birdies to rest of them pars, and Manu Gandas two birdies to the rest of them pars on the front nine. But the rest of them, when we look at the scoreboard, it's more like three birdies and three bogeys, and that just goes to show that golf course gives you opportunities, but also puts you in difficult situations if you do not take caution.
Yeah, as I spoke earlier, you need that last line of defense, and that's the greens here. So, and what that does is kind of a multi-pronged kind of thing. You need to be in position of after your approach shot. So if you miss the green on the wrong side, you're going to have a hard time getting up and down. And then when you are on the green, you need to be putting normally uphill because downhill putts are very difficult. As you've seen, players are erring on the side of caution. So they do know that the greens are slippery, tricky. So it's I think it's a good balancing act in the way the golf course is designed. Limited space being used, obviously one of the shortest golf. I think if not the shortest golf course that we've
Absolutely.
ever had a tournament on. And you can see that the players are really freewheeling on the par fives, hitting long drives. So there is reward to be had, but a perfect example is the ninth hole. It's about just a shade over 500 yards. Players almost having irons as well, and but there's no place to miss it. You miss it on the right, that's not an easy up and down.
Yeah.
On the left, also. So you
Short
really
side
have
in.
to be on the green just at the front edge. So that's what makes it really interesting.
Yep, and even the players who missed it on the front edge, it's been so difficult for them to judge the speed and the pattern of that ball, what it'll do once it drops on the green. I mean, these players are some of the best short game players in the country and the entire Asian region. And here we have them struggling to find their way around the bends on the green and to showcase how difficult the slopes on these greens are. Abhijit Singh Chadda has made a 5 to be at 16 under. That was a tap in for a par. And Manu Gandas has taken his birdie and moved to 17 under par to take one short lead over Chadda.
मोक्ष का द्वार है द्वारका, चारों धामों में से एक धाम जहां बसते हैं मुरली मनोहर श्याम। और जैसे ये द्वारका नगरी आप देख रहे हैं, वैसे ही एक द्वारका इस समुद्र के नीचे भी है, समृद्धि और अतीत का एक अद्भुत प्रतीक। कृष्ण की ये नगरी द्वारका, यहां खुशबू है भक्ति की, झांकियों की, यहां खुशबू है गुजरात की।
Look at Karthik now. Divyanshu Bajaj. My apologies, that's Karan Tonk who's on our screens. Karan Tonk playing alongside Ranjit Singh and Karthik Sharma. Karan Tonk having a disastrous day. He's at 5 over par for the tournament, and unfortunately had a bad start with a bogey and a triple bogey. on the first and second, which was his 10th and 11th hole. So they would have started on the back nine. Karan, who was 7 under starting the day, is now 2 under. So obviously not trending in the right direction. Karthik Sharma, on the other hand, is doing pretty well. 1 under for the day, 8 under for the tournament. Seeing a lot of this player recently, the left-handed Karthik Sharma. The new crop of players, very consistent, very meticulous in their preparation and execution. Need a little bit more on that. Maybe a couple of rolls short would tap in for his par. The players now move off to the 15th hole. The par 3 that we saw yesterday. A birdieable hole for these players with their ball striking abilities. For those of you who are just joining us, I'd like to tell you that you're live with us on ABP Live right here for the Impiger Technologies presents Chennai Open Golf Championship 2022, powered by Fruitnik Electro Plus. And we bring you this action from TNGF Cosmo Golf Course from Chennai. The prize fund for this tournament is 40 lakhs, and this is the 11th tournament of this season on the PGTI. The PGTI so far has had 10 successful tournaments this season, and this is the 11th. Also looking at a very jam-packed schedule towards the other half of the season. And this is the half of the season that the players actually look at improving their position as they have a look at Karan Tong, the long hitting Karan Tong from Jamshedpur. Right after this tournament, the tour would next be moving to Jammu for the J&K Open 2022, presented by J&K Tourism. Then you'll have the Jaipur Open, and then Championship, the MP Cup. In fact, the MP Cup was the tournament where we first brought to you live golf. So that would be a year that will happen. Now we have a look at Ranjit Singh, who we spoke about previously. Ranjit, a veteran on tour. Very well. Let's see if his strike can come over on this hole. It's very unusual kind of takeaway, I think. Not too